Good afternoon and welcome to the regularly scheduled City Commission meeting for Tuesday, February the 11th, 2025. If you would, please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we have a call for attendance, please?
Commissioner Hargis. Here. Commissioner Thomas.
Here.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Here.
Commissioner Witt.
Here.
Mayor Staten.
Here. First up, we have recognition of new employees.
Brian Williams, do you mind to bring two of your new employees up, please? All right, we've got two new hires. We got Johnny Williams that just started yesterday. Johnny comes with a construction background. He's a local fellow. He's going to be in the street department. And Marcus McClure, he's been here about a week and a half. He's in traffic control. And Marcus worked for us, it's probably been about 5 years or so. And he traveled the world and decided that he liked his old job, so he came back and ironically he got his same position he did when he left.
Oh my gosh, we kept the seat warm for you, didn't we? Heck yeah.
So especially Marcus may want to give a speech, but I'm not sure. So.
Well, you all are welcome to talk to us. So what made you come back?
Bored.
You were bored?
Nah, they miss me, I miss them. So.
That's good.
Well, good. We think a lot of our public works department. You know, a lot of the necessary things that we do in the community with the tax dollars that we bring in flow through your department. All of our departments really, but roads and sanitation and all kinds of things. So we just thank you for choosing Henderson to be employed at, and we appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
I got something to say.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you and thank you to him and the boss and the city of Henderson for giving me a opportunity, to work for you guys, and elevate too as well. So, I just want to thank God too for giving me the opportunity and the position to take on the lead role like this, because only God can place you in a position to come forward to elevate and level up, So I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity, for giving me this position and this role to play, to be an inspiration to others, to say, it ain't what they plan that they have for you, it's what God's plan have for you. And when He calls you to the forefront, that's when you need to step up. So that's what I'm here for. I'm here to show everybody how to step up and how to lead. And I'm going to show you how to lead real quick. And I'm going to show you how to elevate if you don't know how to elevate. So I'm going to get there real fast. I may be short, but I'm going to get there. I'm going to leap fast. So I'm going to get to where I need to be. So I just want to say thank y'all for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Trace, do you mind to come up? I think one of our finance employees was not able to be here today, unless if I hear otherwise. Trace?
So I've got to follow that?
You gotta step up, Trace.
Well, I'm going to give you one right down the middle. So yeah, nothing fast, nothing fancy. But this is Tony. Tony Braun. He's been with us probably going on about a month now. He started literally the day before the last meeting, so we didn't have a chance to bring him on for the last commission meeting, but he's here today. He's our new grounds maintenance worker. He is the one that you'll see because he'll be handling the downtown parks, including the one right behind us and all the other ones, Central Park there. So far he's been doing a great job. He came in just in time for the ice storm, so he spent a lot of his time doing limbs and storm debris and looking forward to the summer, I'd imagine.
We thank you for that.
How are you enjoying your time so far?
Very much so.
Good.
I like working outside and doing productive stuff.
Good deal. Well, thank you so much for joining the Parks Department. We appreciate having you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If If you want, Bart, do you want to bring up your new employee?
Thank you, Bosie. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Jacob Shaw here, he's from Owensboro, Kentucky. He's our new IT systems administrator. Kind of a fun fact, he's going to replace his brother who had to move to Iowa. So we're keeping it in the family here. So glad to have him, though.
How long you been on board?
Yesterday was first day.
All right, all right, and you came back today?
I did.
Hey, this is a step in the right direction right there.
Yes,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, thank you for coming on board. We certainly appreciate having you. That's all the employees for today. We're going to move on to a presentation about community addiction awareness, the STOP project update.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for having me. I'm Carrie Gentry. I am the director of the STOP project as well as the Recovery Resource Club here in Henderson. And all of that comes through WARM. And I just wanted to give you guys a formal update of what we've been doing. I'm right at my year mark, so I've been there for 1 year. And we've done a lot of different things. And one that most of you guys have probably heard of is the Drive to Recovery raffle, which thanks to our very, very generous Larry Bennett, of course. Without him, we wouldn't have been able to do that. But without our community, we would not have been able to raise over $282,000 for the recovery. So thank you. One big thing that the STOP project does, of course, is we are huge in educating the community as well as starting with our younger ones. So the past year, what we have done is in 2023, we went in and we started teaching middle school age kids. We had already established a program in the high school to educate on addiction, how it affects the brain, and just creating awareness. So last year in the 2023 school year, we saw over 200 middle school age students. This year we've doubled that number, and we're looking to actually probably even grow even more. But we've added, we started with South Middle School. This year we've done South, North, and now we're doing Holy Name as well. We've partnered with also the high school and Central Academy. We've seen just this school year over 220 high school students teaching about addiction awareness, mental health, just all the factors that fall into that category. We've partnered with Pittsburgh Tank and Tower. During the month of December, we've handed out over 144 doses of Narcan so that they can take that out into the field to keep their employees safe. We are getting ready to get into Gibbs as well as Accuride to do the same program. And then we have partnered with University of Kentucky to begin just to try to track. Sorry, I can't see, and then I can't see, and then I can see. But we've partnered with the University of Kentucky to establish a way to track the information that we're putting out there, because as you guys know, education is sometimes if you're not testing someone, then you can't really gather data. So we established a survey, a pre-survey and a post-survey to see exactly how our information is landing with the kids and with the adults. We started that just actually last week at Holy Name. We did a vape program with them, an educational program about vaping. We did a pre-survey and a post-survey with them, and actually the feedback was pretty phenomenal. So those kids are getting it, they understand it, and they want to know more. So we're just dropping those nuggets, and hopefully that they're going to continue to be hungry for more information and just learn about where addiction starts and how it can progress. But so that collaboration has been pretty great as far as being able to see some of that data, and I'll send some of that to you as well. Just so you can see what we're seeing. Of course, we still have our Parent Safety Summit. We're planning tons of recovery, sober events at the clubhouse. March is officially going to be our Spring into Sobriety Month. So we have lots of sober events. I would love for you guys to come out. We're going to do some exercising, some crocheting. I know some of you guys would like to do that. Pretzel making, you name it. We've got all kinds of activities throughout that month. And then, of course, other activities as well. I could go on and on about the impact that we're making, but this year has been a lot of growth, a lot of educating, and just getting out and making those personal touches in our community just to raise awareness, reduce stigma, and to hopefully continue to keep our community safe. So, do you all have any questions for me about what we're doing or any of the initiatives that we might have?
I don't have any
We got a lot going on.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a lot going on, did really good work. I know our daughter's in the 6th grade one day, and she came home and talked about what you all discussed, so honestly, I think it is impactful and it's working well. I can't believe it's been a year now, but you're doing a great job, so.
Thank you.
Appreciate all you do in the community.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
And I shudder to think that there's anybody in here who hasn't been touched by addiction, and it certainly hits very close to home for me as well. And so I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing in the community.
Thank
I
you.
really do, and I hear lots of great things. So thank you.
I will report this too. Through the media appearances that we did leading up to with our Drive to Recovery raffle, we were able to get a few people in to treatment facilities. So they reached out, they felt comfortable, they knew exactly who to call. The stories connected with them. So stories are what's selling for people. So we're telling those stories and hopefully getting people more comfortable to have those conversations at home, but then also within our community, because that's where the more knowledge that you have and the more that you're able to communicate about it, the safer that we all are. So we were able to get people into recovery and then also to plug them into some of the resources that we have available here that most people didn't realize. So thank you all for being so supportive and for, of course, always standing behind. Anytime I come to ask for money and I'm like, please, you guys have always said yes. So thank you so much.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, I will plug out, this is all funded through our opioid.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's, I think it was one of the best decisions we could have made to spend the opioid money in conjunction with the county in this manner. I think it's fantastic. Next up, we have Audubon Kid Zone, who wants to come and talk to us about a new program.
I do. Well, I'm supposed to be here to give an update on a program, but I'm actually here to present kind of an idea, I guess, a proposal for the Inner City Improvement Project Plan. The Affordable Housing Committee came up with a project in 2023 where the city allocated $25,000 to go towards exterior home improvements for residents who live in the East End. And it makes sense for AKZ to administer that program because we have our Love Your Neighbor initiative and, we want to make the East End a more desirable place to live, I guess. But after we talked about it and we talked to some neighbors and stuff, we think that it would be better or more beneficial, I guess, more impactful if we can take that $25,000 and do action projects in the neighborhood. AKZ did this in 22 and it was really successful. We had 7 different action projects. The mural that's on the building in the AKZ parking lot was one of them. We paid for seating at the Audubon Apartments. Our teenagers learned how to sew and made swing cushions for the neighbors. So we would like for that $25,000 to be allocated towards different action projects, like over 2 years. So anything that a neighbor would want to do, there was one that they cleaned out an alleyway, they fixed exterior windows on a building. So anything and the neighbors do the work. They would fill an application, the way we did it first. They would fill out an application. We have like a selection committee come in and go over applications and interview the neighbors, and then I guess we would have to figure out the details of the rest because we've never done funding this way, but we just wanted to pitch that idea to see if there were any thoughts on it or questions about it.
Kind of like, can we do that? If it's,
We would have, the agreement would have to be unless it's okay.
right.
AKZ's been a great partner for the East End community. We've done some things together. I think we probably need a little time to figure out how this all going to work. But I'm on board.
Yeah. Yeah, we'd have to work out the details.
Yeah.
Definitely work out the details, but we just think it would be, with the program, the exterior home improvement program, it's a reimbursement program and they get reimbursed up to 50%, but we all know how it is. It can be living paycheck to paycheck and all the things. So we don't really think that's realistic for the East End, I guess.
Well, I do like the action items component too, because those are things that you can see,
Yeah.
and
And they kind of
more
take
timely
ownership.
manner.
It makes you proud when you do a project and it's done and then
Oh, of course.
you did it, yeah. Some community pride.
You might get 25,000 go a long way.
And it would be over 2 years. The first year we did it, we allocated 10,000 for it, and there ended up, we put like a range, it would be $250 to $1,000 per project. But, I mean, that's something we would all have to work out, I guess.
Good deal. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And then we have a fire service pathway to high school students presentation.
First, thanks for letting us come in and speak to you today about the fire science pathway. So when I first became fire chief, one of the visions I had and goal was to bridge the gap between our fire department and the school system, and providing our students with an opportunity for emergency services. And I think this fire science pathway will do this. There's a lot of positives of this pathway. We know students don't always want to go to college, and this gives them a pathway to set them up for a future outside of the school once they graduate. There's also the opportunity for, between the city and the county, to recruiting our own and keeping them here in this community, which I think is very important. I went to a county chiefs meeting last week, and a lot of the chiefs were speaking, and one of the big voices of concern that they kept talking about was recruitment on the volunteer side as well. That a lot of the departments that they've got, they can't staff it, and I think that this will solve that as well. And then the last portion of it is that once they graduate from this pathway, these certifications they can use anywhere in the state of Kentucky. So not only if we can't keep them here, it gives them a door of an opportunity to go somewhere else as well. So wonderful opportunity. We spent a lot of time and effort on this. We've had many meetings with the school system, and they've been wonderful with us. I mean, they've kind of worked us through this process, and today I've got Division Chief Hasey Howard with me in the training. He's going to give you a little bit more of the data and information about this pathway, and then if you all have any questions after that, we'll open it up for you.
Good afternoon. I know we got a lot on the agenda, so I'll try not to keep you too long, but I do think it's very important to share with you all the why behind this program and the how we're going to implement this program at the high school. So a few things I want to share with you. In the last 40 years, there's been a significant decline in the firefighters that apply for fire departments and the firefighters that apply for volunteer fire departments. It's declined 220,850 members in the volunteer service. And then over the last 40 years, we've had an 80% decline in applications for the career service. We can definitely see that. We've seen it ourselves. When I started my career, we'd have 100 plus people show up to take a test, and now we got maybe 30 people to take a test. So we definitely felt that. And in addition to that, the U.S. population has increased by 100 million in the last 40 years. And the run volume for fire departments and first responders has tripled. Average age of firefighters in the U.S., if you look at those numbers, if you can see the graph, I would venture to say that 50% of those firefighters are going to retire in the next 10 years or so. We're certainly not getting any younger, and the people that are coming in behind us aren't getting any younger either. So it's very important for us to do succession planning, and if we can do succession planning with people here in this hometown, that's even better. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, in 2023 there were 326,800 firefighter openings in the U.S., 270,400 EMS openings in the U.S. in 2023. And with just a few phone calls to some local fire departments in the last 10 years, these are the numbers of personnel that they've hired. Henderson, we've hired 33 in the last 10 years. Paducah, 46. Owensboro, 89. Evansville, 122. Bowling Green, 147. And just like I said a minute ago, these people are going to be retiring in 20, 25 years. And we have to have a plan in place to fill those spots whenever they do leave. And not to mention the volunteer service. Chief Dixon mentioned it briefly. but volunteers are always hurting to get new volunteers, especially in recent years. It's been more and more difficult to get young people to volunteer to help out the cause, which would directly affect a lot of people in this room that live out in the county whenever they're in need of emergency services. Just a quick Indeed search, and a lot of municipalities don't even put their job openings on Indeed. When we did research for this presentation, there were 26 job openings for firefighter, 64 for EMT, and 70 for paramedic. So what are we going to do to fill these gaps? And that's what we're here to talk about. And we sincerely believe that something that we can do to fill this gap is partnerships within the community. And one of the greatest partnerships that we're developing right now is with the school system and bringing the career pathway to the high school. But what is the CTE program? If you all are familiar with Henderson County High School, or you grew up here, you're probably very well familiar with what the CTE programs are. What they are is a program within the high schools to prepare students for life after high school, to help them build success in careers, skills, education, things that are, even if they don't follow that path once they graduate high school, they're going to have skills and education that they wouldn't have had otherwise. They're going to improve their quality of life. Fortunately, that's a lot. Don't even try to read all that, but I'm just put that up there to demonstrate that these are all the career pathways that Kentucky has instituted within the Department of Education. We would fall under the Law and Public Safety program with the fire science. Luckily, we're in a great position with Henderson County High School because the CTE program at Henderson County High is one of the largest in the state. They have 1,800 students, 1,600 of those, almost 1,700 of those attend the CTE program with a great completion rate. As 12th graders, they have 286 completers with a 68.9 completion rate. So that means they've attended all 4 years of the CTE program of their choice. Henderson County High School has 16 nationally recognized career clusters, and we would love to see our fire science career pathway up on that board as well. So, upon completing a fire science pathway at Henderson County High School or any high school within the state of Kentucky, they're getting nationally recognized accreditation and meeting the standards for national recognized programs, such as National Fire Protection Association. Not only that, but they're also getting basic first aid, CPR, AED training. So within the 4 years, they're gaining 300 hours of fire science knowledge. But as soon as they get that basic first aid, CPR, and AED training, they can save lives, whether it's in their classroom or at home with their families or on the sports field. Whatever they're doing, they have the potential to save lives. So luckily, we don't have to recreate the wheel to make this program a success. There's 10 programs that are active in the state of Kentucky right now, and 4 are pending, with Henderson County High School and HFB being one of those that are pending. But it's laid out for us. Short of putting together the lesson plans, it's a 4-year curriculum where they get basic firefighter 1 the first year all the way up to firefighter 4 the last year as a senior. And if they finish all that, we have the opportunity to also add in electives such as emergency medical responder and other special topics in the fire service. But why? So that's a lot of information, and I took up a lot of your time, but why? And the recruitment and retention that Chief has already talked about, that just barely touches the surface. That's going to help us, the city. It's going to help the county departments in surrounding areas. But more importantly, what we want to offer to these students, just knowing that there's a handful of students over there makes it worth it to us to implement this program. Because we can offer for them mentorship, people to talk to, people that have views similar to theirs and that live and work in the city that they live in and they're growing up in. But we also want to offer them career success. Like I mentioned, even if they don't pursue the fire service in the future, we sincerely believe that there is much to gain from the pathway that we can set them on. So, thank you all for your time. Is there any questions you'd like to ask me, Chief, or Mr. Thompson from the school board?
What does the timing look like for everything?
So I'll kind of key on this. So we presented to fiscal court this morning, and they had a few questions just as well as cost and the timeline. So the first 2 years, really it'd be virtually almost at no cost. The school system would be willing to pay for the curriculum, which is just a few $1,000s. So today, we're really not here to discuss about asking for funding yet. We're more here for the support of later on in a year when we come back and say, now we need to sit down and find out where the funding and the benefits and stuff are going to come from.
Goodbye.
But so
That wasn't me.
so how it looks. So in April, Chief Howard will go into the school system and kind of start doing the recruiting for the pathway. And I believe the school system is already doing that now as well for the ones that are 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, correct?
So currently, we are scheduling all of our our sophomores and juniors and our freshmen for their 10th, 11th, and 12th grade year. And after the meeting last week, we started one-on-one scheduling with them yesterday. So they're already talking to students about the fire science pathway and trying to get some of our upperclassmen signed up already.
So anyway, just really it's just about the support. We know that the first 2 years looks good, and as long as that ends up is being successful, then we want to come back and then we'll talk about between county, city, and the school system and where the funding is going to come from. We have ideas. One of the ideas is it could be used as somebody that's newly retired, that's an instructor that would fit in that mold, because once after we get to that pivotal third, fourth year, they're going to be probably 195 days out of a year that they're going to have to be committed to the school system, and maybe even more, almost pretty much a full-time position. But we could also look at an option as like a school resource officer too, so that there's a benefit to that as well, so that they can be at the school, but once they're done, we can absorb them back in and use them in a different capacity within the department as well too. So a lot of options out there, but like I said, a little premature at that point to start asking for funding, but main thing is we just want the support from you all. And the county was gracious enough. They were fully supportive of this and really looking forward to it, and so is the school system.
I don't see a way where I wouldn't be supportive. I think it's a heck of a good idea. And I think it's a pipeline filler and another avenue to get people interested in serving in that capacity in the community. I think it's wonderful.
It's offering career choices to kids that don't want to go to college.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. Good work.
Thank you all for the time.
Yep. Thank you all.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
Thank you.
All right, next up on the agenda is a consent agenda.
The consent agenda consists of the minutes of the January 21st, 2025 called work session goal planning retreat, the minutes of the January 28th, 2025 regular meeting, resolution number 13-25, a resolution approving human resources report dated February 11th, 2025, and municipal order number 14-25, municipal order acknowledging submittal of Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant application to the United States Department of Transportation, acceptance of grant funds if awarded, and authorizing the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
Do we have a motion to approve, please? Do we have a second? Are there any items that any commissioner would like to pull from the consent agenda for further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have a resolution affirming automatic 12-month payment plans and other things from HWU.
Resolution number 14-25, resolution affirming plan for automatic 12-month payment plan to recover unpaid amounts for water and sewer usage from the software programming issue on water meters and authorizing a matching $25,000 contribution to a fund to be established for HWU utility assistance.
Do we have a motion to approve, please? Do we have a second? All right. So we're going to have a little bit of discussion about this particular item, and then I think, Todd, you have something for us here in a little bit too? Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So first of all, we had a very long meeting last week that I'm sure a number of people have seen or heard about, where we invited people from the community to come in and talk about their concerns. It also was an opportunity for the commission to learn more about where we ended up or how we ended up where we are with the meter issues and to learn a few other things. And I wanted to take just a few minutes and share some of the things that came out of that meeting, and share some of the things that I came away from that meeting knowing or understanding a bit better. So first of all, I am quite positive that Henderson Water Utility and the City of Henderson both regard this as an extremely serious issue. I wish I could relay exactly how many hours have been spent on this in the last few weeks discussing this particular issue. It's certainly not something that we wanted to happen, and it's an issue that the city and HWU has taken full ownership of. But I also want to say that I have a newfound admiration for the folks that work at the water utility who have been working on this specific issue. If you could see them, not just in public, but behind closed doors, and the way that they talk about the community, talk about wanting to correct issues, talk about how serious this one is, and different things that we can do to try to solve this issue, it's quite obvious to me that their heart, including the management, Bart Bowles and Todd and the board for HWU, you all have I'm certainly disappointed to end up where we're at today with this mistake, and we're continuing to work through it. But you all have impressed me to the point to where I know where your heart is for the community. I still view you as very professional people who care about your job, who care about the work that you do, and I have more confidence in our utility today than I have had since this has happened. And I appreciate the way that you're going about trying to solve some of the things that we're dealing with. From that regard, I wanted to share a few things from the meeting also. One of the most important things that came out of the meeting last week is that no matter which way we would like to go with this issue, there are legal parameters that govern where we have to go with this issue. And so no matter if we know it's a mistake that was made and we would like to make sure that everyone who is undercharged on their bills does not have to pay that back, legally we have to collect that money. And that's the first thing that I want to get out on the floor. And in fact, Dawn, if I know I didn't ask you in the pre-meeting to do this, and I'm putting you on the spot, but do you mind to share with us a little bit more about what the legalities that govern this situation are, just for transparency's sake?
So if you all remember last year, we passed a HBU revenue bond. With that revenue bond, that we passed a bond ordinance setting up the parameters, and in order to do that, one of the parameters of the bond covenant, and the bond covenant made it clear that we have to collect all the monies for water that we're selling. Or actually, if we were to do another utility revenue bond, we would have to collect for whatever that utility is selling. And so and the bond ordinance is just that, it's a local law. If we were to violate that, then we could have our bonds called. And that's the money that we loan for our system. So those bonds could be called, and we would be called upon to pay those all at once.
Thank you, ma'am. Another few things that came out of that meeting from last week, that this is not a manufacturer or a meter specific isolated incident. The crux of this issue has to do with how the meters were reporting to our billing system, and they were a decimal off, which caused people to be underbilled by 90%. So people who were underbilled were paying 10% of the volume that they were using instead of 100% because of that decimal reporting error. We were able to isolate that beyond any kind of doubt with 100% accuracy. And the water department demonstrated, to me anyway, that they were able to isolate this and prove 100% that they know exactly what the undercharges were going into this issue. It's also an issue that they're still working through. There were a little over 2,200 meters that were installed that were from a separate vendor. That separate vendor did not pre-program the meters the same way that the other meters that were installed were pre-programmed. They were able to isolate where these 2,200 meters were, and they're working through trying to get those corrected as we go. When the meters were corrected, what happens is that triggers something when the programming for the meters were corrected, that triggers something in the system to cause an automatic catch-up bill to appear on the bill. And so there were a number of people who received all at once a catch-up bill on their bill. Not everyone who had an issue with their water bills was because of under-reading. And so one thing I want to encourage people, if they have any kind of questions or concerns, one of the benefits of having a local utility like HWU is that there are real people on the other end of the phone who want you to call them so that they can answer your questions. If you see 20 or 30,000 gallons of water show up on your bill at one time, it quite possibly is not a catch-up. It could be a leak or other issues that they can help you work through and provide some remedies for if you have those kind of issues. So please do call them if you have issues. I wanted to talk about our billing department and a number of things that we're doing with our billing department this year, many of which were already in the works before we had the meeting last week. But as a result of the meeting last week, there were some issues that certain people brought to our attention. And the meeting was so long and involved, it didn't really lend itself to being able to talk about every single thing that we're doing. But I want to hit on some of the things that our billing department is doing this year to try to make the process better at the billing department. They are looking into how the bills are presented to you when you get them in the mail. And to see if within our software confines, if we can work at providing an easier and more understandable presentation of your bill when you receive it in the mail. Something else that they are looking at is they are trying to, so with the people who service our people downstairs, something our administration has been looking at for a couple of weeks to a couple of months, dating back to I think November or December of last year, is that our people in the office downstairs are going to get new city logo uniform shirts to wear as they're servicing people for a more professional and uniform look. Many of our departments have uniforms and theirs did not. And it's something that was on the table, and it's something that addresses something from the other day. We are looking at periodic interpersonal communication continuing education classes for all city and utility employees who are public-facing employees. To better understand when someone comes in and they are upset about something, how to deal with them in an educated and professional manner and more uniformly. And then we're also evaluating right now, and we're going to do this in very short order, our grace periods on our utility bills because the mailing issue is a real concern. You know, I left that meeting last week and my mom was watching my son, and so I went to go pick him up. The first thing she said to me when I walked in the door is, she calls me Bradley, but she said, Bradley, I haven't got my mail yet for the utility bill, and it's due next week. What's going on with that? And we heard that from a lot of different people. And so we realized that the slowness of the mail has become a real issue, especially as of late. And so we are reevaluating what we can do about that to make that easier. And that is something that we're looking at trying to tackle in very short order. As far as this instance is going, we have implemented a few things, including this resolution that we just read. One of the things that is going to happen from here forward, we can't go back and do this exactly how we're going to do it for people who have not been affected yet. But as your meter is being reprogrammed, there are going to be people in billing who intercept that bill before it makes it to you so that they can remove that one-time charge and make it so that we can automatically default into a 12-month payment schedule for you if you are impacted. If you do not wish to take the entire 12 months to pay back that charge where you are undercharged on your bills, then you can call the billing department and work out a different arrangement. But the default is going to be, as a result of this resolution that we just read, a 12-month period of time. They're also working on, and this is where Todd is going to come up here in just a second, they're working on sending out a detailed breakdown that shows you exactly where the charges came from your past bills, and shows you exactly an accounting for those specific charges. Now going forward, if you haven't been impacted yet, you are likely to receive this breakdown before you actually get a bill to that measure so that you can check your bill against the breakdown to make sure it is 100% accurate. If you have already been impacted There will be a time after we get through this, the rest of this issue, and not in the distant future, but in the near future, where you will also receive a breakdown of the charges that you have been charged, even if you have paid them or not. And then, as a result of this resolution, today, the city is looking to donate, if approved, $25,000 to a water utility assistance fund that matches $25,000 of a water utility assistance fund donation on behalf of HWU. If you saw me say anything last week, sometimes, it doesn't happen often, but sometimes I'm not as clear as I should be when I communicate to the public. In no way, shape, or form did I ever wish to intend to indicate that each one of us are going to do $25,000 donation. It's actually, when I said each of us, I meant the city and HWU. But that is something else that we're looking at. We're still drawing up the parameters. It's not going to be just for people who are impacted by this issue, but it's going to be available to people who are struggling to pay their bills and meet certain financial parameters, and be available specifically for assistance on an HWU bill in this calendar year and maybe on into next calendar year after we look at the parameters. So all that being said, I'm going to shut up now and invite Todd to come up. And I think Todd wants to show you what you can expect to see as far as your financial breakdown that you're going to receive as part of this process. Todd?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Like I said, my name is Todd Bowley, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer at the Water Utility. And what I kind of briefly go over is just a brief rundown of the issue and kind of what our bills look like and what the breakdown that you'll receive in the mail would be. So just some high points. The meters are accurate, as Mayor Staten's alleged to. Like I said, they calculate the actual usage properly at the meter level. They're calibrated and certified by the manufacturer, and we receive documentation on that on each one that we receive. As we said, it was a programming software issue, which led to billings being 10% of actual usage. As you mentioned, the catch-up bills are going to be spread over 12 months for those going forward. Anybody who has already received the issue, their catch-up bill, the portion of those that have gone out, we've had a percentage of those that was higher than 50% that were already paid in full, and people had been setting up payment plans just by contacting the bill department, just like you would in any utility situation. So those people can continue to do that, and they can always reach out to us if need be. We're still working to pre-program the last of the meters. It's the equipment involved. We have to basically physically touch every meter that is affected. The equipment is pretty sensitive to the weather, so that limits the time frame where we can get out in the field. Our field crew guys can do that, but we're doing that in as speedy a time as we can. Now for a bill and catch up, this is, ignore that in red right there. This is your standard utility bill that anybody in the city receives. This bill is for all the new meters that we're putting into the system read in gallons. Everything, our rate structure is based on gallons, etc. All our old meters in the system, some of which aged to 40 years or older, still measure in cubic feet. So the conversion to gallons is done in the background. This meter, for instance, its read was 17,839. The previous was 15,571. The difference is the 2,268 gallons that shows up on the bill. So this is pretty straightforward. You can subtract those two numbers, come up with your usage, multiply it by our rate structure that's all available on the website. If you use less than roughly 39,000 gallons, it's $11.02 plus our fixed fees, and that's how you can basically recalculate the water and sewer charge on your bill to the penny. This next bill is an older meter. I believe it's from 1982. It reads in cubic feet. So its read, if you subtract those two numbers, the difference is only 530. So due to our name being in the paper, we've had people call and ask about this, so I wanted to bring it to everybody's attention. The gallons billed were 3,965. And you're like, well, I subtract those two numbers, it's only 530. What's the difference? Well, the difference is 1 cubic foot of water is equal to 7.48052 gallons. So if you subtract your two reads and don't come to the number that's the gallons used, chances are if you multiply it by that factor, you will get the gallons that you were billed. Same principle, if you use the 3,965 times our rates, you come out to this person's bill of 58.69 for the water and sewer charges. So that's just a normal bill that everybody receives, and that's the two basic scenarios that you can run across. Our third slide here, I wish I was holding it up a little bit bigger. This is the catch-up calculation that we are doing for every bill going forward before it gets billed. So as you can see, it's got the months over here to the left in question. You have the original gallons billed here. As you can see, those are all 3 digits, 322, 210, 219, etc. And the original amount that was billed. In this case, for the water and sewer, like I said, these catch-up scenarios don't, the stormwater fees and that kind of thing aren't included, so they're not included in these calculations. Due to the 1/10 factor, the actual usage would be 3,220, 2,100, 2,190, etc. And it shows what your bill should have been compared to what it originally was billed, and it shows you an underbilled amount. In this case, you can see that the total billed from July to January was 1,446 gallons total. And this customer should have been 14,460. So with fees, volumetric rates, and taxes, that comes to $144.90. That would be their catch-up bill that's due to us. We divide that on the form for you to see that it's $12.08 per month for the 12-month period. We also show down here the breakdown of that $144.90, how it's broken up between the water, sewer, and in this case, school tax. Some people would have sales tax as well, but most residential customers are only going to have the school tax. It shows here what your unbilled gallons were. So during that catch-up period, you should have been billed 14,460. You were only billed 1,446, so you were underbilled 13,014 gallons, which if you also did the math would come out to this $144.90. We showed this information down here on the lower left, your current month consumption. That is, in the month of your catch-up bill, the usage, the consumption rate that's going to show up on that bill will be the combination of these two numbers. So in this person, it would be roughly 14,692 gallons. But your current bill will only reflect, you will only be billed for 1,678 gallons, or this customer would. Like I said, we've got the 12, and then hopefully there'll be a line item that will show that 1208 that is due separately, so people can see that over the 12-month period. If you back out, Travis, thank you. We've got there's some small notations at the bottom that said this doesn't include any of the stormwater fee stuff. It notes if some people will see it's got AMR or the read type up here. If your meter was read manually sometime during the middle of the month, some of your billing will have already been partially caught up by that manual read. So those kind of things will be taken into account. This calculation and the underbilled calculation will not take into account any type of leak issues or anything, past due amounts or anything else that you may have on your account. It's simply taking the meter reads that we have during that time frame, accounting for the digit issue, and calculating that. If you see this calculation and you have questions about that consumption, like you just don't see how you had that much usage, or if there's unusually high months in the middle of those for some reason, you would need to reach out to us or the city, and we would look into those and investigate those just like we would any other leak issue. And just in closing, like I said, all this work that we've been doing over the last weeks and months is solely pertains just to the billing programming issue. If anybody ever has issues with questioning their consumption, they think they have a leak, or anything, they always just need to reach out to us or the city, and we investigate those on a daily basis. We'll look into those and get back with you as soon as we can to figure out if you have a leak that could be on us that's an issue, or on the customer that needs to be repaired on their end, where you'd be subject to our leak policy, which we've always had. And like I said, always reach out and contact us if there's any questions along those lines. But that's a brief summary of the underbilling calculation and what we're going to do going forward. We plan on getting those out and mailing those before those bills are issued. So people should receive this calculation along with a little letter explaining everything in more detail before they get the bill where that adjustment comes out or shows up on the bill.
Todd, there's a point I want to make, and there's a reason I'm asking you this question, but I know what you mean when you talk about the leak policy.
Right.
Would you mind to expand on that just for a second?
Yes. We have always had a standard leak policy that if a leak is indicated on your meter, on your side of the meter, so it's the customer's responsibility, basically anywhere from the meter to anywhere in the house, and that leak is repaired, you can come into the billing office, show your receipts from your plumber, or even your Lowe's receipts if you fixed it yourself. Basically, you'd then be certifying that you fixed that leak yourself and it's been fixed. We go through and we have a policy set where, depending on if the leak went in or without, if it went in or without of the sewer system, we have a calculation where you would get an adjustment up to 2 billing periods, and you get 2 leak adjustments within a 24-month period.
And when you say adjustment, it means that
you'd be a
some of that leak
reduction,
is written up,
right?
correct, Jerry?
Yes, we would. Yeah, and that's all based off your average usage. So if you average 4,000 gallons use a month, and 1 month you had 40,000 gallons due to a leak that you repaired or had repaired by a plumber, you come in, show us those receipts, certify that leak has been repaired, and you will get an adjustment that it factors based on your 4,000 usage. There is it's not a 100% adjustment, so it wouldn't be like from 40 to 4, but there is a reduction on the bill.
And the reason I wanted to point that out is because if you notice something on your bill that it just seems off, it is quite worth it to call HWU or to call the billing department and to talk to them about it so that you understand what's going on. Because if it is a leak and you can get to it in a decent amount of time, they're going to work with you to write off some of that leak
Correct.
that might have happened. In fact, I've noticed a few people who have there have been, I think I've received 7 calls of the many over the last 2 weeks from people who had leak issues.
Yes.
That we were able to send to you. There was one person who brought in a bill that appeared on the news last week that said they used a whole, it was $1,000 bill, I think it was. And that turned out to be a leak issue. It didn't have anything to do
Correct.
with the undercharges. And so if you see something that looks wrong with your bill, please do call them. And don't just assume that you're getting charged for an undercharge or any of that. This issue could have been handled much better. We're getting our arms around it. I don't think there's a single person who's been involved that hasn't felt terrible about what's happened at the water department or at the city. It's not something that anybody wants to go through. It wasn't due to negligence or ineptitude or anything like that. But it is a serious issue. A lot of people are dealing with it, and there's lots of people who, we for a while we dealt with the argument: should we forgive the undercharges because it was our mistake, right? And there was half the people believe that way. The other half of the people believe that, well, we paid full price for our water and they didn't. How come they get to not pay full price for their water? And so that was a big issue until we found out that legally we really have no choice in this matter. And now that we're, there repairing this issue and getting things corrected, I think we're set on a good path. But if you do have issues, that's the moral. Please do call, because we want to make sure that we work with you to give you the best experience possible and to correct whatever issues that you might have. Are there any other questions for Todd while he's up here?
How much bonding do you guys have out?
The revenue bond that the covenants are related to are roughly $15 million, because they were just issued. The rest of the bonding that we have are GO bonds through the city, which don't have those covenants. It was correct.
Yeah, if they were called all at once, we'd have to come up with $15 million all at once, which would put them in financial peril, honestly. Any other questions for Todd?
Just the one on the 1208. You can go back to, excuse me, little horse.
Yes.
So once you get it fixed, and say like you send out a bill of $70,
Correct.
the 1208 is from the balance of the undercharge.
Yes.
Is there any late fees or anything charged
No,
at 1208?
that $12 will just be a current billing item.
Okay.
It'll be just like, so your April bill comes out and you owe $60 for your normal water and sewer bill and whatever else, your electric and gas and everything. Say your bill is $200 in total, and you owe us your entire bill is $212. That is just your current month due, and then it would be subject to the same due dates and collection policies as any standard billing. We're just spreading it out over the 12 months. But once it's issued, it's just part of your normal bill and subject to the normal due dates and collection, like any other amount due to the city.
Well,
Do you understand, right?
No,
Okay.
I need to make it more plain. Just say I got a $400 bill.
Mhm.
That's electrical.
That's everything. Yes.
That 1208 is from my balance.
Right.
Okay.
It shows up as a current billing item.
It's going.
It
You're gonna
doesn't
put
show
that
up.
in there
It
with
doesn't
that
show up as
400.
past due, or anything in the month.
But the 1208 is going in with the 400. So
Yes.
now 400.
Now you owe 412 that month.
Okay, I don't know if I'm in agreement with that because a couple things. There's a big mess up, and it falls on the water department, and it may fall on some other departments too, and we're sorting through all of that. But if we're gonna give them a break for 12 months, they're already late. So then when we give them a bill and we put the $12.08 in there,
Yes.
we're gonna charge them a late fee. Now we're punishing them for not being able.
Only if they don't pay. If that bill's month, what we're talking about is $412.08, and they have the normal time frame with any grace periods that are done. If they don't pay the 4/12/08 by the due date, that $12 would be calculated in the late fees and penalties, just like the rest of the $400.
Well, what I'm saying is,
it's not past due from today.
is there any way to say, okay, if we're gonna give them 12 months? To me, to be honest, I think the 12 months is going to stretch out a lot of people. And something came up. What if people move and they don't get a chance to pay all that back? Then you lose that anyway. Because they do have a balance. Say they moved to Indiana.
Right. Any undue balance would be the same as any other unpaid utility balance.
Correct.
It would be known to that person and associated with their Social Security number and their billing sign up. So if they move back to the area 3 years from now, that past due amount is known. Just like if you leave with that, regardless of this issue, if you owed $400 to the city for utilities and you left and never paid it, if you came back 3 years from now to sign up for utilities, the utilities know that you owe us $400 from 3 years ago.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, there any way to bill that 400 and have this in a separate billing, like you said, on the side, and that be isolated from any late fees? Because the reason why I'm saying that is because there may be people, say for instance like me, I may be able to, okay, I know I'm in that group, so I've been looking at it. I got about 7 months of, really I owe the city about $700 on one of my properties. So I might be able to pay that. What happens, you got somebody else that they're tight and that 12 or 25, that's just a $12.
Right.
You may have somebody.
Correct. That's why
much higher.
if somebody's in that position, the letter that they will receive with this calculation says, if this is still an issue, the 12 months, you can reach out to us again, and we will sit down with that person and possibly work out something else. The 12 months was just the automatic that was decided upon by the two commissions last week.
Right, but if we're gonna work out something, why don't we work out something now for everybody? And say, separate fee, You pay your whole 400. Over here, if you don't pay, you're gonna give them a time limit. You don't give them a time limit. Now, if we switch the time limit, it's different. But that 12 months is gonna be a long time. Really, for me, that's a long time. I was thinking more like 6, but I'm just
I
saying.
mean, we factored the 12-month period because we felt that that was fair under the circumstance that the issue only happened over roughly 6 or 7 months, and we were giving you almost double that period of time to pay it back, to smooth it out. We felt that adding it as a current billing item, that 1/12 where it was that due, so there is no past due amount showing on your bill for the people that pay their bills monthly, and split it out. But if you
No, the reason why I'm saying that,
if you were to put the $12 on there in this person's case and say that that is not subject to any fee or penalty ever, then there would be no precipice for that amount to ever be paid.
because realistically, just to say 12 hours, and you got 12 months, that's $144.
Yes.
That's not realistic with all those bills, because mine's gonna be much more than that.
Right. This was just
Right.
one example that I pulled today. We calculated
I'm just
probably
pulling
100
mine.
of
I'm
these
just trying to
today.
pull mine. I'm gonna be close to $1,000.
Yes. Yeah.
So
depending
that's
on
gonna be
your
an
usage.
extra $80 something. Say I got $400 bill, now I got this 80 over here. Now I got 480. So that's putting a little bit more pressure on me to be able to make that. Now if I don't make that, that's making my whole bill late. So the mistake that HWU caused, it's gonna put a lot of pressure on certain people. That $12 is not realistic. I can tell you because I've got the bill. I was looking at that part. That's the part I'm having a little concern with. That extra $80 or $90 I'm gonna have to put on my every month is gonna it ain't gonna make me struggle, but it may make a lot of our citizens struggle.
And like I said, Commissioner Pruitt, like I said, that's why we left the option. If somebody's in that position where the 12 months is still an extreme hardship, they can reach out and some other option can be maybe developed to do it. It's not saying it was just.
Help them. I just don't want-
We're trying to do, but the point is, whatever's agreed upon as that monthly payment that would show up on the bill would be currently due and then subject to just the normal billing.
Can I speak to our other policy? Dawn Wynn, do you mind to come to the podium and share with the public how we help our utility customers when they cannot afford to pay their bills, please?
Todd, you can sit back down. Thank you.
I'm not sure I understand. Are you referring to the list of local agencies that can help them? or-
No, two things I'll mention. First of all, we'll talk about that second. But first of all, if a customer has a problem paying their utility bill, for example, if they cannot pay $400, they can work out a payment plan with billing to make payments on whatever they cannot pay. And that's usually a one-on-one conversation between the customer and our billing department.
Yes, and the payment plans are customized over a specific length of time, number of months that's workable for the customer. They sign an agreement. And that was another reason that the water department came up with this as a separate line item, so we could still allow these payment plans. Otherwise, it would limit the department on what they could do.
So the point being, Commissioner Pruitt, is we looked at every avenue to make this workable for the people that may not be able to afford it. And I think that's the point. The other point that I will tell you that our billing department, mostly our frontline workers, also offer to help, and they can tell them where to go get financial assistance with their utility bills. And looking at the list right now, we have approximately 6 nonprofit organizations in our community that help every year, every month, with customers who cannot afford to pay their bills, and if they can't afford to work out a payment plan. So there are a lot of things that are available to our customers to help get through these types of crises. And with the board's approval, y'all will continue, or at least one time, provide some additional funding to help our citizens. We've had a rough weather month, and our utility bills will come out next month, and they're going to be higher. We've not had a winter like this in 5 to 7 years, so just know that our billing department, our nonprofits, and what this proposed plan by HW is doing is in the best interest of all our citizens in order to fix a problem that occurred. So I applaud our staff to working toward this goal. I applaud HW, the elected officials, to getting to a point where we can have closure on this subject. So thank you, Dawn.
And thank you, because I do know about all the help that we give. I just want to make sure that anybody that's hurt out of this, it's going to affect them, that we don't put extra pain on them by charging them extra for making something they couldn't afford anyway.
And that has been taken into consideration. We have looked at every angle, what if, and we've tried to take all situations that we can into consideration.
And I want to help, because I think I know exactly what you're talking about, just help summarize exactly what Commissioner Pruitt is asking. What it sounds to me like what you're asking is that there's a 12-month payment plan for these separate charges, right? And what he's asking is that rather than have a late penalty each month on those, that the late penalty doesn't apply until the end of that year in which they have to pay it back. And I don't know if that is possible, but that is what he's asking. And so what I can say is we can't possibly make that decision at this meeting, but that is what he's asking for us to consider. And so we can have those discussions later on this week and see how it lands. But thank you for bringing that up.
All right.
Thank you, Dawn. We do have a motion and a second, but before we get to it, we've got 3 people who signed up to speak to us about the utility issues. Before the meeting, we had a sign-up sheet, and typically when we have a number of people who want to speak on an issue, we have sign-ups and we have a time frame in which to allow each person to speak. And that time frame was going to be 3 minutes apiece. However, because we only have 3 people, if it's okay and pleases the commission, I'm going to bump that up to 6 minutes, if that's all right, to make sure that everybody has plenty of time to talk and have their questions answered. So first up on the list, we have Jay Randolph.
All right. My name's Jay Randolph. Most of y'all know me. If you don't, you probably don't want to know. Now, I've got a lot of ordinances and stuff, so I'll be quick on them. But I do want to commend our mayor and Commissioner Pruitt for last week. Y'all did an excellent job standing up and questioning. Okay. Several of these ordinances pertain to the city manager, but it's not. It just tells what he's responsible for and what he can do, because a lot of people do not understand even how city manager run government is. In the form of government, you have your voters, your board of commissioners, your mayor, your commissioners, city manager, and administrative department. So every administrative department in the city reports to the city manager. Right? So, you have a KRS 83A150, that's your city manager plan, powers and duties of the mayor of the board of commissioners, conduct of the board meetings. Then, city manager in Kentucky is the chief administrative officer of a city responsible for the day-to-day operations of the city. They're appointed by the board of commissioners and are responsible for conducting the board's policies and ordinances. The responsibilities, they oversee the operations, they manage the day-to-day operations of all city departments and staff, implement policies, they conduct the policies and ordinances established by the board of commissioners, they enforce the laws. Enforce city ordinances, the city manager plan, and all applicable statutes. They create the budgets, develop goals, communicate with residents, maintain relationships, and accountability. Section 244 is about the contracts. Section 2-45 is about disbursement of funds. Section 2-67 is about impeachment of officers. And I want to touch on this simply because you have a lot of people in this city that they do not have confidence at all. They don't. A lot of people call me, a lot of people talk to me. You all know that. I try to help them out as much as I can. And the reason I do, yesterday my daughter would have been 26 years old. And when she was murdered, the city came behind me. Residents stood up for me. So I stand up for them. Yesterday I had so many phone calls, so many messages, so many things on Facebook. Okay? Also, I started a petition about the bills. As I left my house, 851 signatures on that. And it's all verified signatures. Then we talk about the board of the water union being established. Section 23-36 talks about the management and control of the operation of the water and sewer systems of the city shall be carried out on by a commission known as the Water and Sewer Commission of the City of Henderson, created and better known as HWU. Section 23-42 is the authority, supervision, management, and control. Then you go in section 23-45-1, general powers. Section 2345-2, this is procurement powers. And I mean, I could keep going on and on and on. Like one of the things is the collection of bills, and the bill you talked about as far as the utility bill, they're supposed to get that bill, according to a city ordinance, 10 days prior to their bill being due. People are not getting their bills 10 days prior. You have people that aren't getting their bills until after their bills have come due. Okay? I also want to talk about last week when the city, or the water department, you had one member of the board step back to another person that works for the water department and said, I don't know why we're having these meetings. They're useless. Now, how many people in here you think heard that? And then we wonder why they have no faith. We're not giving them reason to have faith. You know, how many of y'all have a bill like that? I'm talking about $12. You think it doesn't affect people that are on a fixed income? It does. It really, really does. So what you need to do is do an investigation onto the Henderson Water Utility. You can do it, city ordinance. I'm asking y'all to do that. Then I'm asking you to tell the public the results of it. Because the bill didn't start in, the issue didn't start in August. It started in July. I have so many bills that have been sent to me, started in July. So they knew in August what they said originally. Then it changed to November after Buzzy questioned them. So you wonder why they have no faith. That's why. And they're losing faith in you guys. So do something about it, man. That's all I'm asking. Take action and do an investigation. If somebody needs to be fired, fire them. Any questions for me?
I just thank you for being involved and engaged. I think we got one of the best governments for any city. I think we got an honest government. Have mistakes been made? Yes. But what I will say, I think we got one of the best water departments of anybody. I do think a mistake was made. One thing, when you switch over from something that's been done manually and we go to all this smart stuff, sometimes things get messed up.
But when you have the bill showing, I've had people send me consumption bills, all their bills. When you have that showing that the water meter started actually showing the 3 digits in July, and even some in June. Henderson Water Utility knew about it. It's their responsibility to report that to the city manager, right or wrong. Right or wrong.
That is correct.
Did they do it?
There were discussions, and I think, Jay, that the important thing to know here, there were discussions early on, but the problem is they couldn't figure out what the problem was. And I have to agree with Robert, it's these things. The technology is what caused this whole problem, but they couldn't figure it out, and it took them several months to do that. And I will say in here publicly, this is a we problem. It's a HWU and City of Henderson.
But who's getting penalized for it, Buzzy?
Well, the question is, Jay, and I hear what you're saying, but this is what I believe. If I use something, I should pay for it.
Right.
And yes, we underbilled. And I think the best solution that this board and the HWU board came up with was a way to give plenty of time to allow the customers to catch up on what they owe the water utility. Even though a mistake was made, we all agree to that, no doubt about it. It's just we have found the best and fairest way to collect that money back. And in addition, as I stated earlier, if these people have a hard time, come talk to us.
And I understand.
Yeah. Jay,
But-
we got one of the best governments, and the first thing we thought about this whole commission, that we was gonna eat it. We was
But
gonna
you
eat
can't
it.
legally,
And
because
legally
Don
we
explained
can't.
that.
Just like we had this ice storm. All these trees and limbs you see packed around the street, stacked out on the curb, this government, we're gonna take care of it, and the citizens don't have to pay 1 penny. You know we got a great government.
And I'm not
This
saying
right-
we
yeah,
don't.
but this incident, when you call and ask for somebody's head, for us to take somebody's head and do that to somebody's family, it has to be real great cause that this is a real person that doesn't need to lead. I'm not there with this. Is there mistakes were made? Yes. Do we take somebody's livelihood, job, family and do that? I don't know if our citizens want us to do that just to be doing that.
It's called accountability.
It is called accountability. But here's the thing. We're going to do everything we can to make it as right as possible.
So you're gonna investigate HWU?
We're doing a whole lot of investigating. We just hadn't.
And you're gonna release that information to the public?
Let me stop just for a second. There is going to be a corrective action plan that comes out of this, where the causes for the incident are isolated and actions are put in place so that in the future this same incident doesn't happen.
Right.
And so when you talk about investigation, that is the level of investigation that we are currently doing, and it's still ongoing.
Right.
And yes, whenever we are able to isolate everything that has happened, right now what we're doing is we're in fix-it mode.
Right.
So right now, 100% of our resources and HWU's resources are going toward fixing the problem for people who are having the problem. Developing the 12 months, going out and reprogramming the meters, trying to get you would be surprised, I don't know if you'd be surprised, but a lot of people would be surprised exactly how much it goes in to make small changes into a utility billing programming system. And so after we get through the fix-it mode, we are going to, and by the way, they still have like 3,000 meters are going to be installed. Every single one of those meters are going to be hand-checked before they're installed, okay? And so that is something that they're going to do immediately, but we're not going to be satisfied with that. What we are going to do is we're going to full-scale analyze exactly what happened here and exactly what types of things we could have done to prevent it this time, so that we can write that down and make sure that the next time there's a meter install in the city of Henderson, that those same issues aren't repeated. And so that is something that you're asking for, that we are doing, just in a different way than what you're asking.
And I understand that.
Yeah.
But you still have to understand the average person that is being affected by this. And I'm sure Mr. Pruitt or Commissioner Pruitt agrees with me. The average person that's being affected by this doesn't care about anything you just said. I'm sorry, they don't. What they want is accountability. They want action. and they want people held responsible, they're having to pay a bill that was not their fault.
I get it, and I'll tell you what, because we have others to speak,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask that we move on, but you talk to me all the time.
Yeah.
And so you're welcome to call me anytime and we can continue this
Well,
discussion.
and I'm gonna email Don all this that I have as far as the codes and stuff, city codes, because there's quite a few of them.
Gotcha.
So, okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Yes, sir. Let's see, next up, we have Amy Gardner.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate your statement about accountability because that's why I came here today, but I see what you're doing is accountability. I view that as accountability and I appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to ask a question though about the people who have bills and they are on auto draft. How is that going to affect them? How is the new bill going to affect them?
I can answer your question directly, actually.
Okay.
So until we were able to isolate all angles of this issue, what has happened so far is that when they go out and reprogram the meters, then the programming catches up itself and automatically generates the entirety of the bill. And so for the people who have received the bill so far, who are on auto draft, that auto draft has picked it up and paid it. That is what has happened so far.
Right.
Okay? And if those people have experienced some kind of financial burden as a result of that, I would encourage them to call HWU or the city because we can still work out some kind of payment plan, credit system to work that part out if there are any financial issues there. We've isolated the ACH problem. And so now, as they're going out and reprogramming that, we actually have we have people doing tons of extra work, manual work, to go in and intercept those charges before they hit the ACH bill.
Okay.
And so even if they reprogram it now, it may not show up on your bill for a month or two as we catch up our system to be able to divide it out in 12 months. And so that would be, so even the people who are on ACH are going to from here forward, are going to ultimately see a bill where it's divided into 12 equal payments. And they'll get a letter showing the accounting side of it to where the charges that they're getting charged are matching up with that. So then the ACH payment is just going to be for the normal bill, including that 1/12 of the catch-up charge that appears on the bill.
Okay. And then just to clarify, there's not going to be a late fee every single month associated with the carryover.
So I would tell you, and I don't want to get confused because Commissioner Pruitt brought up a point. The way that it is set up now is that 1/12 bill will be part of the regular bill, meaning that it is all due in that month cycle, and if it is not paid, it would automatically generate a late charge as of that month.
Right.
Now, as we discussed, that does not mean that part may not change a bit, but that is how it is in there now. But we also understand it's a big mistake and it's causing some people some financial hardships because they have to go back and pay for stuff that they may not have realized they were underpaying for at the time. And so conversations are continuing to go on, and I'm sure that's going to be something that we discuss. But how it is set up right now, that is the way that it is set up now, subject to change if needed in the future.
I'm really surprised that the problem went on for so long and nobody noticed money missing. Like, how is that much money missing and nobody notices it for that long a period of time? That's frustrating. But there are low-income families in the community who are on auto draft and they are going to get additional charges for insufficient funds because they weren't prepared for the additional bills. So I'm speaking on behalf of them. It's a huge concern. And if there are additional fees, like he said, that's adding salt to the wound.
Yes, ma'am.
We use the money, we use the water. We know we have to pay it back, and that's fine. But we don't want to be held accountable with late fees for somebody else's mistake.
Sure, and I get to where you're coming from. We're going to continue to discuss that part. And I will tell you, I sympathize extremely with you because one of those low-income people in the city is my mother. She's been on disability since I was 19, so for longer than I care to admit. She's been on disability, and after her bills and expenses are paid on a monthly basis, I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, but her discretionary money if you take out groceries and gas and all that, on a daily basis is less than $5. And so I certainly get where 20 or 30 bucks could impact certain families more than it could impact other families, which is one of the reasons why we are setting up that low assistance fund. For people who are in those specific things. And Holly is actually putting together a list of resources, even outside of that specific fund, that are available in the community to people who are having difficulty paying their utility bills. And it's something that's definitely top of mind for us. And we're definitely going to continue to discuss whatever we can do to help make it right as we go forward. And I appreciate you bringing up those points.
Okay, I do have one more concern about the auto draft. I know I haven't been in Henderson long. I've been here 3 years, owned a home for 2 years. And I know when I started my auto draft, they said, always make sure the money's in the account, because if there's ever an insufficient fund one time, then moving forward, you have to come pay your bill or mail it in. So that seems to me like it might be an issue for some people.
And I will tell you, we have adopted a policy in our billing department to where if you are on ACH and you were impacted earlier on by any of these bills, and you have experienced an insufficient funds fee on your account, if you can bring in proof of that fee, we're going to take care of that for you. And we're very cognizant of that.
Satisfies me.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
We
You're
appreciate you
welcome.
coming.
Thank you.
I think everybody tried to think of a number of issues that could come up, but that's part of, right, having a community of people that are cared enough to show up and voice their concerns. Is we can't, nobody can possibly think of every issue. We're not going to say we have all the answers. Lord knows we don't have probably half of them. But that's the importance of, you all feeling like you have a platform to come and share that word of the call, Facebook, share it here in the meeting, so we can take that consideration, because, all these comments, as we've hopefully demonstrated, at least to some degree, we've taken seriously. And, as quick as government can work, we are working with, great partners in Henderson Water Utility to try to address that. But you bring us very good questions about auto drafts, and I think they're well pointed. Thank you.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate it. We've got one other person, Deborah Wilson. Good afternoon, Ms. Wilson.
Yes, I have utility bills. My mother always told me, save all your bills,
Yes, ma'am.
save all your receipts,
Yes,
and I
ma'am.
have. Now, I have for back in June of last year, in July, and I noticed that in June, they didn't read my meter. So I had 0 water. But in July, I noticed that I used 6,000 gallons of water. So evidently they must have read my meter then. But that was nothing, because I'm an average of 3,000 and some gallons of water every month. That's an average, all my average. So I don't think that I'm going to be on that, because every month I have 3,000 and some odd gallons of water average. But still, I got the letter that I was one of you and all this. But I've got a lot of people on my Facebook that are on there and everything. And my mom's always told me that if I make a mistake, I pay for it. And I don't feel like that as customers and all of us, that the customers have made the mistake. And I don't feel like I'm responsible for the mistake. If I made the mistake, I pay for it.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate your comment. I hope that you understand where we're coming from with what we are legally required to do.
I do.
Because it works a little differently when you're dealing with public money and
I do.
The spirit.
And I'm on disability.
Yes, ma'am.
My utility bills right now are over $400 and some, and it takes my fiance. He works minimum wage. 2 paychecks to pay our utility bill this past month, and it's gonna take both his paychecks to pay this utility bill this month. And, I don't know if y'all understand that, but it's hard. It's hard as just us. You know, my social security check, my disability check pays my bills, my house payment, and just the bare necessities, you know, groceries and stuff. And then to get stuff like, you know, us living like this, to get stuff like this added to us, you know, you add $80 more to my utility bill and you're really hurting me. And you talk about the help. When my husband passed away, I made $1 too much to get help on my utility bill.
Yes, ma'am.
$1 too much to get any help from anybody. So don't say, well, there's help out there for people. Well, no, there's not. Not for everybody.
If I could ask you 2 favors. One is make sure that the people at HWU get a copy of your bill so they can explain whatever might have happened. I have a feeling it's probably linked to a meter change. There's an anomaly there's an anomaly that happens on people's bills where 1 month would be undercharged and then it catches up the next month that there's a meter change.
They never read that during that month. There's 0 on there.
But then the other thing is make sure you leave your name and number with us. And when we get that utility assistance fund created, I want to make sure that you have all the information for that, because it sounds like something that you might quite possibly be eligible for. And I want to make sure that you know about the resource whenever it's in place, so that somebody like yourself can have access to that.
Well, I know I have a lot of friends that's on my Facebook, and I had someone that was not from Henderson that gave a lot of people that they needed to go out of Henderson and get an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if y'all know that they've been.
We do. We've actually had lots of discussions about this specific issue, but regardless of if people get an attorney or not, we are still bound by the same legal rules. And so there's really not recourse from the legal side for this specific issue, because the law tells us what we have to do, and we're following that specific law. And I know it's not the best situation.
It's just hard every way around, and
yes,
you know, it's just like, you know, if you left your water hose in my yard and I used your water, that was your fault for leaving it in my yard. You shouldn't have never done it. So I mean, but like my mom always said, if I make a mistake, I pay for it. You guys made a mistake.
We understand where you're coming from, and thank you so much for your comments. We really appreciate you coming up. Okay, so with that, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Just to bring us full circle back around, the 2 things that that were read earlier is that we are voting on a resolution to automatically put people's bills into 12-month cycles that were affected by this issue, and we're also voting to match HWU in a $25,000 contribution to a water utility assistance fund. We do have a motion and a second on the floor. Are there any comments from any commissioners before we take the vote?
I mean, I just want to say, as a citizen and as a consumer, I definitely understand the frustration. I certainly don't want to be unsympathetic to that. I don't think anybody up here does either. I certainly hate that it happened. I hope, you know, I wish it would have been communicated better, but I really think that this is a good solution for everybody. You know, I've seen a lot on Facebook too, but at the end of the day, this matter is really more complicated than what you see on Facebook. I've seen it compared to haircuts and oranges and all different types of things, but you know, I really want to. I hope that the money we're giving to helps those in need and even helps some low-income areas that weren't affected. And I think that we can learn from this and certainly enhance our policies and procedures so that it doesn't happen again. I certainly don't want that for anybody. But
yeah, bottom line, we screwed up. And initially, when we found out about it, we were like, let's just eat it. You know, we'll just bite the bullet and go on and move on because it's our mistake. So we found out legally we cannot do that. And if we override the legality, we have to come with $15 million to get it back and we lose our bond, which that can't happen with all the sewer projects going on. goes wayside. So yes, I understand, this could definitely have been handled better. It was a major screw up, and we're trying to remedy, we're trying to do the best we can with what we have, with what we can work with, we're trying to do the best we can. And at the end of the day, that's all we can do. So I apologize.
Do you have any comments or anything?
Yeah, no, I appreciate everyone who's shared their comments over the last, couple of weeks. If you were looking at state government or federal government, I think this would be a good model for allowing citizens to come in and speak their concerns and have a reactive form of government to try to, address those concerns. And I understand the whole mistake argument, and I think about the fact, if you think about from a mistake standpoint, if we were a private entity, right? A lot of people have said, well, if it was a private company, they would just eat it. We are the citizens. When it comes time to eat it, we all eat it, right? And somebody, I get right that maybe in the grand scheme of things, not a ton of money, but if that prevents HWU from being able to provide the services they need, that means that at some point, perhaps there's a rate increase or something like that. Part of our job is obviously to try to help the citizens any way we can, but it's also to have a viable utility that can provide excellent services every single day to our customers. To me, there's no, it's not an accident that you have some of the lowest rates in the entire state and some of the lowest rates in the entire region, while also providing some of the cleanest, if not the cleanest, water in the entire region and the entire state. And that's not by accident. That's by great leadership at HWU. That's by all the employees at HWU that works tirelessly to do that. And I know, it's hard for some people to understand or see that because perhaps they don't see it every day, right? When it's 0 degrees and they're digging in a hole 20 feet deep or 10 feet deep or however deep, freezing to try to address the water main break during, the ice storm and other related matters. If you see the water in the ground, you turn on the water, you expect it to work, or you expect your toilet to flush and move on, and you don't think about that. But they provide an excellent service. It's unfortunate that this incident happened. I think everybody apologizes to the absolute extent we can. And I would circle back to the comment about the mistake, and that, if it was a private institution, they may eat it. But we also would be eating much higher rates, I think, every single day. And I think that's an important part is we owe it to our citizens to maintain a viable and good water utility that can provide those low rates. And at times that means, we're boxed in as a public utility where we can't make decisions we otherwise would make as a private entity. But hopefully that means we're providing low rates over the long term to hopefully help our citizens. So thanks everybody for sharing their opinions. I think hopefully some of the examples we've shared about things we're working on and things we'll continue to work on are good examples that we are responsible for a government and we do care.
Thank you. Commissioner Pruitt.
I just want to say that what you said about your bill, we hear it. That extra $80, I know what it's going to do. And this group of people, every one of them wish we could do more. And we're going to try to see where we can. If we come up with something, this group will do it. But I'm going to tell you, I think we got the best leadership, the best water department. When he mentioned freezing, I've seen them out there in the wintertime in a hole, icicles, mud, fighting to get the water back on for certain parts of the neighborhood. We've got a good water department. But this was a mistake, and I see how it hurts on the other side. What I am going to say, I wish that when we set this fund up for people who can't afford it, I would ask them to let the people go to that fund and have that money and don't go. Somebody like me, I can't pay mine. Everybody else, if you can't pay it, that's for them. That's why we're trying to refund that money to the people who it's going to become a hardship to. The ones that can pay it, I'm asking all the citizens, if you can afford it, pay your bill, leave that money over there for the people who can't. We're trying to do the best in a bad situation. But I will stand behind my water department. They've been a partner. They have saved us money for the citizens. They have been a partner right there with us with Pratt. They have done so much for the citizens of Henderson's separation of our storm and water situation. They've been there for us. But I do understand the other side. It's going to be a hardship. But I'm asking you guys to forgive, have forgiveness for what happened, and let's get through it. And let's get through it together because Henderson is a great place. And I guarantee you, you're not going to beat this group of people who's fighting for you guys. When you know my slogan, I got your back, these people up here, they got the citizens of Henderson's back, and I guarantee you that. And we're going to do everything we can to lighten whatever pressure that's putting on different people. Like you said, you leave your name, get in touch with the people, I guarantee you these people are going to help you.
And I don't have much to add, but I did want to say at least that I'm sorry we're all going through this too. You know, we all are. When people come up and they talk about firing people, for example, you know, when I'm on the inside and I'm working with these people, I will tell you that there is nobody in Henderson more motivated to make sure this doesn't ever happen again to the best of their ability than the people who are going through it right now. You know, they didn't intentionally make the mistake. It was something that they feel terrible about. They're working tirelessly to fix, and I believe wholeheartedly that as we move forward, they are going to be better leaders of Henderson Water Utility. We are going to be better leaders of the city. That we're all going to come out of this better for you. And if you see anybody that works for HWU while you're out there over the next week or two or three, go up and tell them that you appreciate what they do. They've been through a lot. They've been through a whole lot, not just on Facebook, but in real life. And I think a lot of people forget that what happens on Facebook affects people in real life with what you say and how you say it. And it's real easy to get caught up in something like this, but we've got a heck of a good water utility. And if we can just prop them up through this and let's get through it, I think when we get out of this, our water utility is actually going to be stronger than it's ever been.
Yeah.
You fire people for just cause.
Yeah.
Not for a screw up.
Yeah.
And this was a screw up and it could have been handled much better. And all my dealings with the water department, they've been top notch and never shown me just cause for any firing at all, headshot.
That's right.
It's a screw up. They're working their ass off to fix it. Let them fix it. Let's move on.
Good deal. And with that, I'd like to ask for a roll call on the resolution that was read about an hour ago.
Commissioner Hargis.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Next up on the agenda, we have a resolution opposing certain bills going through the state.
Resolution 15-25, resolution of the City of Henderson, Kentucky opposing any bills brought forth during the 2025 Kentucky General Assembly session by any member of the Kentucky Legislature in full or part that provides for the mandated centralized collection of local occupational fees and taxes by the Commonwealth of Kentucky or other third parties.
We have a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
We have a second?
Second.
Don Kelsey, can you tell us what we are opposing or looking to oppose?
Mayor, we are currently in session right now, and there is at least one bill, and there may be other bills that are being brought forward to advocate for the central collection of our occupational fees. So what that would mean is that every state would start collecting for the entire, any city or county that currently collects occupational taxes and payroll taxes. We would no longer do that. That would go to a state central clearinghouse for maybe
Gotcha.
I've never known the state not to create a fee. I think that's only one part of the concern.
Well, and I can, if you don't mind, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were going to call on Buzzy, but I can elaborate on just two quick things that are reasons why we should keep that local. I can elaborate on 5 quick things, but 2 quick things. One is that when we have a $500 million facility that's being built and we have a number of different contractors that are coming through, the state's not going to be over there on a daily basis and making sure that the contractors who are doing work here remit their occupational tax to the locality. On the other side of that, so it doesn't sound so greedy on my part, right? We've got people who do festivals and stuff in town, who we just sat down with last week to talk about how we can make the process of collecting occupational taxes from their vendors who go to these events like the Arts and Crafts Festival, Tri-Fest, stuff like that, and to make that an easier process and a more just process for people who just come in town for an hour or two at a time. And these are things that the state cannot do, provide that personal level of service to people who are down here. And I also just don't like the idea of money escaping Henderson to go to a central collection place and then get redistributed to Henderson, because accounting errors happen and fees get charged for that kind of stuff. So I'm in strong opposition to this particular bill also, but we're welcome to have more discussion and questions too.
Why would we want to pay fees is something we already do.
Yeah.
I would just say one other thing. Under the Kentucky State Constitution, the state cannot actually charge these types of taxes. Only, it's reserved only for local government, for cities, for county. So it seems counterintuitive to those of us in city and county government that the state would take over something that they're legally not allowed to collect themselves. And I will say that the county passed a similar resolution this morning.
Gotcha. Any other questions? Do we have a motion and a second on the floor? All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Aye. Commissioner Thomas. Aye. Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Ordinance amending natural gas service rates and charges.
Ordinance number 3-25, ordinance amending natural gas service rates and charges. Ordinance amending ordinance number 11-18 by adding gas service schedule for local transportation customers.
Can I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Buzzy, is this a rate increase on our residential customers that we're looking at?
No, sir, it is not. This rate structure goes to support our local industry, who are large consumers of natural gas. And this relates specifically to Pratt Industries, who was not utilizing HMG as a conduit to purchase or acquire gas. Now they are, and it's a benefit not only to Pratt, but it's also a benefit to our residential customers.
Gotcha. Thank you for the explanation. Do we have any other questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Aye. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have an ordinance related to Appendix A zoning.
Ordinance number 4-25, ordinance amending Appendix A zoning relating to towing services and towing recovery yards, and ordinance amending Article 23-M-1 Light Industrial District, Section 23.03, Conditional Uses, and amending Article 24-M-2 Heavy Industrial District, Section 24.02 Permitted Uses, and Section 24.03 Conditional Uses of Appendix A zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson relating to towing services and towing and recovery yards.
We have a motion to approve, please. Do we have a second? Any comments, questions, suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Aye. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have an ordinance related to transient room tax.
Ordinance number 5-25, ordinance amending Chapter 21 Taxation, Article 7 Transient Room Tax. An ordinance amending Chapter 21 Taxation, Article 7 Transient Room Tax, Section 21-110-Tax Imposed, and Section 21-112 Collection, Filing of Returns, Penalty of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Henderson.
We have a motion to approve, please. Motion to approve. Did you, got a motion and a second? Any comments, questions, or suggestions? Roll call, please. Oh, sorry.
Do you know what,
Yes, sir.
Do you know what brought this about?
Actually, we have
Originated
Abby,
for-
do you want
I'm
to?
trying to approach it now. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Thank you for the question. Abby?
Yeah, this really is just changing the language to match what the statute says.
Okay.
So it's just a easy housekeeping piece.
Thank you, ma'am. So we're not creating any new law. We're just changing it to abide by existing law?
Correct.
Yeah, thank you. Any other comments or questions or suggestions?
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt. Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have an ordinance updating the Henderson City County Comprehensive Plan.
Ordinance number 6-25, ordinance adopting amendment to Chapter 10 enabling I-69 goals and objectives of the Henderson City County Comprehensive Plan. Ordinance adopting amendment to Chapter 10 enabling I-69 goals and objectives to the Henderson City County Comprehensive Plan.
We have a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Do we have any comments or questions or suggestions? Brian, you want to come up and tell us just briefly what we're looking at, sir?
So the comprehensive plan is typically what we look for justification when we deal with rezoning, subdivision, things of that nature. We are legally required to update that every 5 years. But with the implementation of I-69 and the city's backage road, we felt like it was a good idea to update that before the schedule that we're required to do. So this is what the City Commission and Fiscal Court is required to do, which is approve the goals and objectives. The Planning Commission will come back and approve the meat of that chapter itself. Once we have that, we will share that with the Commission and Fiscal Court.
Any questions for Brian?
Good idea.
Thank you. And I'll note that Brian and his team have been working pretty hard on this. You've had, I know, at least 2 public meetings on this.
I believe we had 2 workshops and then a public workshop.
Yeah.
So we had 2 workshops with just the Fiscal Court, the Planning Commission, and Board of Commissioners. And then once that was done, we had a workshop open to the general public.
Good deal. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Aye. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt. Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have an ordinance amending job classification and pay plan.
Ordinance 7-25, ordinance amending job classifications and pay plan, and ordinance approving amendment to job classifications and pay plan by creating the positions of gas compliance engineer and legal secretary.
Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any comments, questions, or suggestions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Aye. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have an ordinance amending budgeted positions.
Ordinance number 8-25, ordinance amending portion of City of Henderson fiscal year 2025 budget and appropriation, ordinance amending City of Henderson budgeted positions and job classifications for the 2024-2025 budget for certain non-hazardous positions in the administration and gas departments.
And this is related to the prior ordinance, correct?
Yes.
All right. Do we have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Aye. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up is an issue that I am going to recuse myself from, which requires me to leave the room, and I will ask Mayor Pro Tem Kelsey Hargis to administer this next section.
Next on the agenda, we have a second reading of the ordinance regarding annexation.
Ordinance 2-25, ordinance regarding annexation, an ordinance annexing certain unincorporated territory to the City of Henderson, Kentucky, located in Henderson County, being the real properties addressed as 634 Glenwood Dell Drive, parcel ID number 64B-35, consisting of approximately 1.718 acres, and 656 South Glenwood Dell, parcel ID number 64B-36, consisting of approximately 1.006 acres.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Second.
Do we have any comments, questions, suggestions? Okay. If no discussion, roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
That runs a lot smoother.
Did you say it runs a lot smoother when she does it? Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. We have an ordinance, actually, no, we're moving on to bids and contracts. We have a municipal order approving the deed for Pratt Paper.
Municipal order number 15-25, municipal order approving deed between the City of Henderson, Kentucky for the use and benefit of the Water and Sewer Commission of the City of Henderson and Pratt Paper, Kentucky LLC for the fire suppression tank as provided in the 2022 Water and Wastewater Agreement in the amount of $2,214,817.62, payable in monthly installments over 15 years for the real property described as Lot 1C, PVA parcel number 46-19.3 of the AG and Mary Pritchett subdivision, and authorizing the mayor to execute all necessary documents.
A motion to approve, please. So we have a second. Any comments, questions? You've got somebody you need to talk to?
No, I didn't know if you wanted any questions. I think Mr. Bowles is busy helping a customer, but Eric Chappelle's here along with Todd Bowley if you have any questions about this transaction.
Yeah, I always love to call Eric up. Eric. Come on up, sir.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
You want to tell us a little bit more about this one?
I
Do
really-
you honestly not
I
know
really
what we're
don't.
talking about?
Oh, the Pratt D transfer. Yeah,
Yeah, there
what
we
are the
go.
questions about the Pratt D transfer? This is the property that we constructed a water tower for their fire suppression system. We paid to construct it, and it's on our property. We are transferring the property to them, so that's going to be their tank on their property, and in exchange for which they are executing a note and a mortgage to us to pay us back for that over a period of time. But it's we've done it a couple different times. Tyson, we did similar things with Tyson, some other stuff like that with Pratt as well. Am I talking about the right tank?
Yeah.
We've done it. We've got two Pratt transactions going right now, so it's a little.
We do have two Pratts.
Yeah.
They're both closing tomorrow. I just wanted to say, this was part of the agreement when they came in, that this would happen.
Yeah,
So
this
we're-
was something they needed, and yeah.
Well, and I think it's fair to say it's one of those things that was, oh, by the way, and if it wasn't for the water utility
Very much so.
agreeing to do what they did, it would jeopardized Pratt coming here. So it goes back to what y'all all said earlier about HWU. They are a wonderful partner, and they oftentimes have to find solutions to difficult situations, and this is one of them.
They've already had to use the suppression tank, so it's worked out real well.
Good.
Good.
Any other questions or anything for Eric? Thank you, Eric. I'll call you again. Make sure you pay attention. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Aye. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have a municipal order awarding a bid for purchase of police interceptors.
Municipal order number 16-25, municipal order awarding bid for purchase of 4 new 2025 Ford Utility Police Interceptor all-wheel drive vehicles for the Henderson Police Department to TT of F. Frankfurt Incorporated, Frankfurt Ford of Frankfort, Kentucky, Indiana, in the amount of, $189,275.04.
We have a motion to approve, please. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have any comments or questions?
Just a special note, we will have a mid-year budget amendment to cover 2 of the 4 cars.
All right, so to be continued. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Next up, we have a municipal order concerning HVAC.
Municipal order number 17-25, municipal order accepting master agreement for professional design services between the city of Henderson, Kentucky and Hafer Associates doing business as Hafer of Evansville, Indiana for professional design services relating to HVAC upgrades for the public safety building and task order number 2025-01 and authorizing mayor to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city.
Motion to approve, please. We have a second? Buzzy, you want to fill us in a little bit on this one, too?
Yes, in the past, we have discussed with the Board of Commission the condition and the age of a lot of our buildings. This is a prime example where the Peabody building, which was built probably in the early 80s, has outlived its useful life for heating and cooling. And this somewhat is an emergency due to the fact that the top floor of the Peabody building air conditioning system went out late in the cooling season last year. So we're in a press to get something going to begin the repair and or replacement of equipment in that building. And that's the purpose of this design and service contract.
Thank you. Any comments, questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis. Aye. Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Do we have anything on the city manager's report for today?
Just quickly, Holly Blanford will be pushing out again this week. Our Public Works Department, our Parks Department, our Police Department, Fire Department, and Water Utility have prepared to deal with the storm debris cleanup. And we do have an outside vendor coming in next week that will begin the process of curbside pickup for the debris that you see throughout the city limits. I want to acknowledge, again, this has been a partnership with HWU on how we dispose of the product, and also want to give credit to Public Works in agreeing to working with this vendor in monitoring the debris collection. Due to the fact, in event if we do get a presidential disaster declaration, we can apply for reimbursement for all the expenses we have. So I want to give credit to all those departments in working closely on the documentation that's required for FEMA.
Thank you, sir. Anything else?
No, sir.
We have a zoning review from the city attorney.
We were going to do this at the last meeting, but if you all remember, it ran a little long. So we pushed it to this meeting and we're running long again. So I will try to go quickly, but still let you know what's going on. The HIP zone, Henderson Innovative Planning District. I want to give you a little background on how it became a zone. In 2014, when you look at this area of Henderson, we still have a factory right here that was vacant, that in Denham had previously been a Denham finishing factory. In front over here, we had some vacant office buildings that were no longer being used, and then an old mill that had been converted into a restaurant but was no longer being used. Across the Beltway, or Autumn Street, we also had a building that was actually, I believe, condemned and was being torn down. So when we were looking at this area, it was not clear what the future held. We were thinking that it was going to be mixed-use commercial, and so it was actually Kathy Farrell and Kirk Freeze were in charge at Planning Commission, and they were trying to figure out how we could have mixed-use commercial that extended the downtown area, so wanting to make sure that it fit within the model of the downtown and didn't have maybe strip malls put in it and lose the characteristic of an extension of the downtown. And so they created the HIP zone, thinking that there was going to be a lot of commercial development there. Well, to date, we've had a lot of development there, but none of it has been commercial at all. It's become residential, and it's either single-family or multi-family housing. So at that point, we took a step back, Steve, because one of the things that we wanted to do is make it a little easier on residential developers to be able to develop in this area. For some reason, when Curtin and Kathy hit it, 34.02 did not have single-family housing in it, even though it was allowable. So we're putting that in the permitting use. But one of the things that we would like to remove is the front setback for balconies, and just take all of the balcony requirements out that we currently have, and just say that if it encroaches into our right-of-way or in the front yard setback, we'll go through what we would do for any other zone for a balcony, and take out all of the requirements that we had at that point. I think a lot of the thought then was there might have been some restaurants or stuff that had balconies and would need more structural issues with it. The second thing is we have a maximum front yard setback, 10 feet for most mixed use and residential. So one of the thoughts on that is when you, back then, especially in 2014, if you put you wanted to put all your development towards the street, especially in a more older area commercial, because if you pulled it back, then it was more of a strip mall type of development. But what's happened is for residential it's become an issue. So we would like to revise that and take out it has to be no more than 10 feet.
and just remove that altogether. Then parking. So we, as you all know, parking and planning is always, and Rocky, you were on, you were on planning commission, so you know that's always an issue. But one of the things was that parking was going to be on the side or the back, and we put it for the entire usage. So whether it's commercial or residential. Again, with commercial uses, if you allow front yard parking, then it goes more towards a strip mall development, which is fine for general business or highway commercial, but not really an extension of the central business district. So so what we would like to do is to allow front yard, parking in the front yard, and when I say front yard, I mean a driveway or things like that, in the front yard of any single family or duplex, and then you can do it for multifamily if you come get a conditional use, just to make sure that any residents on either side, if they need screening, they can have a chance in front of Board of Zoning Adjustment. So those are the suggestions. We think this will make it easier for developers down there. Like I said, it's really been a residential development. We really haven't seen the commercial that we thought we might see. So if you all are agreeable to that and move to do that, then that will go to Planning Commission. Planning Commission will advertise it, have a full hearing for the public, and then it would come back to you all upon their recommendation either way for action.
Any questions or comments for Dawn?
Kudos, making it easier.
Yeah, really. Yeah, the only thing I might suggest is make sure when we write it, it's clear that that front yard thing is more clearly spelled out.
Right. Right.
Good deal.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Dawn. We do have need for executives. What, we need, I'm sorry. Tell me what motion you need and I will gladly call for it.
I need a motion to send the proposed changes to the Planning Commission for a public.
I need a motion to send the proposed changes to the Planning Commission for a public hearing. Yes, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Hargis.
Aye.
Commissioner Thomas.
Aye.
Commissioner Pruitt.
Aye.
Commissioner Witt.
Aye.
Mayor Staten.
Aye. Thank you, Ms. Stone. Before we move into executive session, I want to get the commissioners' comments out of the way. Let me see, here's the order. Commissioner Hargis, do you have anything for us today?
No, I know it's been a lengthy meeting, but certainly just want everyone to know that we're actively working and trying to create solutions that will hopefully help everybody.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner Thomas.
Ditto. We realize we made a mistake and we're doing all we can to rectify it. So please bear with us.
Commissioner Pruitt.
I just want to let everybody know that this government works hard for citizens of Henderson, and so does our water department, and we've got a good water department. And I just want everybody to know that we're here for them, and we got their back.
Commissioner Witt.
Nothing to that.
I echo everything that everybody has said. And I don't want to belabor that point, and so I'm not going to. The only other piece of information that I have to share, it's the second Tuesday of the month. And so as such, to sometime, I guess it's going to be this evening, is that right, on the podcast? Sometime this evening, the second episode of the Municipal Matters podcast is going to be published. If you go to your Apple Podcast or Spotify and you search Municipal Matters, it'll pull up 2 episodes, because that's all we have so far, January and February. We're releasing an episode the second Tuesday of every month. The first episode in January was all about construction. And the guests on that show were Dylan Ward and Buzzy Newman and Emily Deason from the I-69 project. It was a good show. And this show that is dropping today is about the conference center. It is an update on the conference center and everything that's going on with that specific project. Tom Williams, Abby Dixon, and Andy Rideout were the guests on that show. It's actually, I've listened to it a few times myself, and it's a good show. So if you have an opportunity and you'd like to listen to it and be entertained by it and learn more about the city, that is there with a new episode happening the second Tuesday of every month. With that, we need a motion for executive session.
I move the commission go into executive session pursuant to KRS 61.810, paragraph 1, subsection B, for the purpose of discussion that may lead to the future acquisition of real property located in the vicinity of Lecture and Howell Streets, and paragraph 1, subsection C, for the purpose of discussion of threats of litigation against the city of Henderson and the Water and Sewer Commission of the city of Henderson, aka AKA HW, regarding errant billing issues and paragraph 1 subsection F for the purposes of discussion, which may lead to the appointment of employees.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
We are going to stay in here for executive session, and we will be coming back with action after the executive session. Thank you.